Okay, boxing fans, before I start this video I need to do a few shout outs. First of all, I'm going to do a shout out to Shoutouts, who has been absolutely excellent on Twitter for me. If it wasn't for him tonight, I wouldn't be able to see Denis Lebedev against his latest opponent, and he's been really helpful. So shout out to you, man. Keep up the great work. Fridge Boy on Twitter, love you, man. Despite the fact that we have a difference in opinion with regards to Deontay Wilder, we won't go into that today. But yeah, man, all good, and good banter over Twitter. Lawrence Baldwin, what can I say? A character on Twitter, great personality, and speaks just what he thinks. Love it, keep it coming. And Silvana, I hope I pronounced your name right, Silvana. Okay, Silvana. Wow, I'm really impressed with the video, the pictures you've got of all the fights from Roy Jones Jr. to Eddie Chambers. You've got some real great photos there, some photographs of yourself with Manny Stewart. So you really are deep into boxing, and I guess in America you get the opportunity to see all these great fighters. So I can't say I'm not jealous. I am pretty jealous. I mean, all I've got is a photograph of Derek Chisora. Not that that's a bad thing. I sat down and had dinner with him and Nando's. But yeah, man, that's great. And hopefully one day when I come to the US, you know, maybe you'll hook me up with some contacts. And I did ask you about coming on the Boxing Hangout show. So it would be nice at one point to do an interview with you to talk about your experiences in terms of meeting with these guys, what they're like as outside of just being boxers, what they're like as personalities. So okay, this video is about Lebedev versus Eddie Chambers. Denis Lebedev just retained his title. I can't remember the guy's name he retained the title from, but it doesn't matter. He retained his WBA title, and for the first couple of rounds he did look troubled by the straight right hand of his opponent, and Lebedev was throwing short with his left hand. Lebedev is a southpaw. He's got a good straight left hand. Lebedev is most famously known, unfortunately, by knocking out one of my favourite fighters, Roy Jones Jr., which I'm going to do a video about soon. He knocked Roy Jones out, albeit an old Roy Jones. There's no way Roy Jones, in his heyday, would have beaten Roy Jones, but that's beside the point. Lebedev has now just called out Eddie Chambers. Yep, remember Eddie Chambers, fast Eddie Chambers, who fought at heavyweight and has lost a few fights. And a few of the fights he's lost, as far as I'm concerned, he's won, but he's been robbed. Now he's campaigning at cruiserweight, and people asked me to do this video on what I thought, on my views on the fight. And I'm a fan of Eddie Chambers. I think he's got some great boxing talent and ability there. According to my Twitter friend Silvana, sorry, I have to keep looking back at my notes. Silvana informs me that Eddie Chambers has now got a new trainer in the name of James Ali Bashir, who is an assistant, was an assistant with Emmanuel Stewart, who obviously was with Vladimir Klitschko in the Klitschko corner. So I think Eddie Chambers has certainly made a great move, being with somebody who will be technically versed and experienced trainer. You can't go wrong with an experienced trainer. And Eddie Chambers has got a style which, you know, he doesn't take a lot of punches, and that's always going to help prolong your career. So on to this fight. How do I think this fight will pan out? Well, Eddie Chambers, like I've said, Povetkin fight in particular, I saw he has got a very good right hand. He's got a sort of looping right hand. It's hard, it's sharp, it's fast. He's very good on stepping back and countering with the right hand. But my only criticisms or criticisms of Eddie Chambers is that I'd like to see him be more active. I don't mean more active in a fight that, you know, he wins by shutouts. I mean, there are fights that he's fought, Povetkin, which I thought he'd won, in my opinion. He's won a lot of these fights in, you know, away from home, but I don't think he's got the decisions. I think he needs to be more aggressive and more assertive in fights. A bit more. The counter punching is great, but also to get onto the front foot and possibly take the attack. But then maybe that's not the way Eddie Chambers likes to fight, and maybe prefers people to come onto him. My biggest concern with this fight, the same right hand punch that Eddie Chambers likes to throw, just to be aware of it, the right hand he throws, tendency to leave himself open when he throws the right hand. There's a tendency to get caught with a left coming back, especially against a southpaw. We're not talking about orthodox fighting, when these guys' fought has been orthodox. When he's got the southpaw now, that left, straight left, that Lebedev has, and Lebedev only needs to take one shot, because this guy that Lebedev was fighting, he was behind on the scorecards. This defense he had tonight, he was behind on the scorecards for me, and he was getting caught with a straight right hand over and over and over again, and he didn't seem to have any answer for it. And Lebedev doesn't seem to move his head very much. He moves in straight lines, and anybody who's got good lateral movement will beat him, I believe. But they've just got to be careful of the straight left hand. So for me, Eddie Chambers can win this fight as long as two things. He does not walk onto that left hand, so he moves away from the left hand, and is able to counter the right hand sharp and get away. And the other thing is the fact that Eddie Chambers has fought at heavyweight for, seems, most of his career. And my concern is, although he's going back down to cruiserweight and had a lot of fights at heavyweight, I need to check the stats on this, but from what I'm seeing on BoxRec, he's weighed 210 pounds plus for a while now. Come down to cruiserweight, which he's campaigning now, the whole concern of weight loss, is he cutting the weight back right? Will he be as effective as a cruiserweight? It would be common sense to think that Eddie Chambers coming down from heavyweight to cruiserweight would be more effective. He's got good boxing talent, he's got good speed and good power, and where he probably wouldn't be able to knock out the big guys at heavyweight, that same punching power could be quite lethal at cruiserweight. But will his punch resistance be the same? Will he be as strong as a cruiserweight as he's been as a heavyweight? Bearing in mind the only guy to have knocked him out was Vladimir Klitschko, and you can't say Vladimir Klitschko is an easy or soft puncher. He's a big puncher. So there's nothing wrong with Chambers' chin or his heart. I said my concern in this fight is the weight. Is he going to cut the weight right? I'm sure Eddie is a professional, he'll know. And I think the Chad Dawson fight is enough of a reminder of what happens when you think you can make weight, cut weight, and then fight. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that's it. My only two concerns about the fight is Eddie cutting the weight, coming fighting a cruiserweight, from heavyweight down to cruiserweight, having fought heavyweight for a long time, and Lebedev's straight left hand. Other than that, I can't see Lebedev winning this fight. And if Chambers is able to counter punch, use the right hand, and it's going to have to be a straight right hand to beat Lebedev. I think a straight right hand, like he's countered against, he did against Povetkin. If you can do that, stay away from the ropes, use that lateral movement, and win the rounds convincingly, which I think he can, because he's got the faster hands and the better boxing ability. I think he can walk away from this fight, either stopping Lebedev later in the fight or going to points. Lebedev's pretty strong, pretty tough, and he'll walk onto shots, I believe. But as I said, Lebedev only needs one opportunity, and Chambers could be winning the fight for 11 rounds, and he can walk onto a left hand. So he needs to be away from that left hand, but I think that's all really Lebedev has got, that straight left hand. I could be wrong, but I'm going with Eddie Chambers to win the WBA Cruiserweight Championship World. Negotiations have happened, I believe, and it's going to be, from what I understand, is at Madison Square Garden. So, Eddie, wishing you all the best in this fight. Hope that you can make the weight cool, calm, and healthy, and that's not going to be an issue, and you're not going to have any injuries as an issue, and you will do well. Somebody asked me the question, would Eddie Chambers beat David Haye? Well, I think Eddie Chambers has got great boxing. He's got great boxing movement. Are we asking for this fight at cruiserweight, or are we asking for this fight at heavyweight? I'll say the same thing I said about Lebedev about David Haye. Although I think that Chambers would find Hayes' chin faster than most of the opponents in the heavyweight division because he is a cruiserweight himself. I think Chambers, for me, will outbox Hayes and could walk Hayes onto the right hand. Having said that, Hayes is a big puncher at heavyweight. He was a big puncher at cruiserweight, and I think it'd be a great fight. It would be a great fight, and the only way that fight's going to be made, if you get your Xbox 360 out, or you get your PlayStation 3 out. Otherwise, the fight just is not going to happen. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Rate, subscribe, leave your comments. As for my Twitter friends, followers, family, thank you so much for your support. You're all very inspirational. Sometimes I do come up with some real stupid howlers of predictions, but it's all a bit of fun in games, isn't it? I'm out.